was still happening. It was, they started putting that notice out to airmen, the NOTAM out. So still not even got to the point to have that general notice out. It was people sending out the occasional reports and left from an individual. And then we left for deployment. Well, excuse me, we left for workups first, I should say. So let me backtrack a little bit. As we get ready for deployment, have our date where we leave, but then about 6 months prior to that, we're gone to the aircraft carrier and the different training training areas to essentially get ready for that deployment and practice like we play. So right, we start boat, we live on the boat, we start doing tactics off the boat, and we left to go down to the coast of Jacksonville, Florida. Do exactly that. We fly out on the aircraft carrier and we do enough tactical missions to simulate that we are in an operational theater. And honestly, it's more dangerous and likely difficult in a lot of cases than the actual combat deployment. You know, we're preparing for every eventuality, air-to-air combat, you know, restions, everything. But of course, you know, not everything gets exercised when you get out there. So it's much more dangerous and pretty intense. And so that's what we were getting ready to go do. And when we got down in that area, Virginia Beach, you know, we noticed that these objects were down there as well. We didn't know whether they, you know, came with us or whether they were already down there. You know, once we started flying off the boat, you know, about, I don't know, 1,500 miles or so south of Virginia Beach, you know, there they were again. And it was in my squadron again when the video that's known as the Gimbal video now, that was recorded when we were on that workup cycle out in Jacksonville.
Play the Gimbal video. Jamie, will you please pull that up? Because I want you to kind of give us an understanding from your own expertise, like your technical understanding of what we're looking at.
Yeah,
here it is. This is FLIR footage?
Yep. So when I say FLIR, this is what I'm referring to. And right in the middle, at the top of the screen, you see IR, infrared. So that's that infrared mode where we're seeing heat right now. We are in black hot. So that means objects that are darker are hot. So this object right in the middle is putting heat out.
And bro, it appears to be rotating. Is that what it was doing there?
Yeah, exactly. So we see this object rotate. I mean, it looks like a gimbal. That's why it's called it, I think. I didn't name it. But we see the essentially rotate from what looks like a horizontal position here. Lines above it represent the horizon, so it's essentially parallel. There it goes.
And it's hard to make out the shape of this thing, but it seems almost like a disc with like a crown on the top and the bottom.
Almost like a little bit of energy coming out from the poles there. That's kind of how I describe it. I see like a little bit of the dark, you know, heat emanating from there, or the energy as I call it.
And is there any way from this video, from this equipment, to detect how large this thing is?
There is. So the velocity vector in the middle there can be set to a particular size, and that size correlates to a particular length. So that in a dogfight, if you have, you know, you're behind a guy and you essentially wingspan is equal to the length of those two lines on that go with the lines coming out. You see that? That's the velocity vector. Then you know how far away he is, right? And so it's kind of like an analog thing that's not super relevant, like in modern age. But yes, there is. I don't know, however, what that is set to in this one, so I can't like make that calculation for you right now.
Know some people who have attempted to debunk this and debunk even the rotation of this object. How do you know that object is rotating? Definitively.
Well, so we don't, right? We don't necessarily definitively know it's rotating at the end of the day, right? We have evidence that it is, but I don't have evidence that you're a conscious human being on the other side of the table with me either. But you know what I mean? Like, we just don't have that information.
So you only have video footage. In the video footage, it appears right now in relation to where it sits on the clouds that it has rotated.
Yes. So, you know, we can also see if you and I know it's been done, people have models out there that, you know, essentially look at the clouds and they draw out a flight path that this could be at. And the only variable is essentially how far away the object is. And that flight path obeys, you know, an equation that can observe pretty readily when, you know, you build the little model. And essentially, if you're at, you know, 6 miles or so, the object is proceeding in a direction, and then when it starts to rotate, as the aircraft described, it climbs and reverses directions. So you can't quite make that out, but when you model it out, you can see that at these ranges, it does what was aimed. And we're kind of skipping